Hello and welcome back to TVP World. My name is Alex Smolinski and you're watching World Talks. Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney and U.S. Special Envoy Keith Kellogg took part in Independence Day commemorations in Kyiv on Sunday. Now, other foreign dignitaries attending the event were the defense ministers of Denmark, Latvia, Lithuania, Romania, and Sweden. This, of course, taking place after U.S. President Donald Trump held talks with Vladimir Putin in Anchorage, Alaska, in an attempt to end Russia's war against Ukraine on August 15th. And joining us now to discuss this further is Dr. Kateryna Shynkaruk, senior lecturer at the Bush School, D.C., and non-resident scholar with the Ukraine Initiative at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. Hello and welcome to TVP World. I just want to make sure that we have the sound there. Do you hear me, Kateryna?
Evening.
Great, now I have you. All right. So on Sunday, as Ukraine celebrated Independence Day, the country's President Volodymyr Zelensky says that, and I quote, "Ukraine does not ask for the United States' permission before launching an attack deep into Russian territory." He went on to say that Ukraine uses its own weapons at long ranges. He said that during a press conference during Independence Day. Now, Zelensky emphasized that Ukrainian soldiers also have very good results in these long-range strikes. So how will this influence the country's position, going forward prior to coming to a hopefully negotiating table soon?
Well, we can see that Russia gets emboldened by impunity. And this has been also recognized in one of the recent social media posts by U.S. President Trump, when he said that holding back Ukraine from offensive strikes and only defending in its own territory is a poor strategy for victory or even like defeating Russia, ousting Russia out of Ukraine's territory. So we can see this as some sort of continuation of this same conversation about showing Russia some defiance on Ukraine's side and basically showing that Ukraine can also create some incentives for dialogue. For basically incentivize Russia to come to the negotiation table, because there are not only gains but also pains for Russia in this war.
I just wanted to ask you, because you mentioned incentives, right? We've also had Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky say that he's ready to meet with Putin, and yet we still see Russia dragging its feet on this. When and how do you think, might we see such a meeting happen? And under what circumstances?
That's basically a question of right incentives. So far, we have seen that Russia basically was able to get away with impunity from, as you mentioned, dragging its feet along with in this negotiations process. It has been quite consistently signaling that everyone is liable for postponing the negotiations, the West, the Europeans, Kyiv, everyone except Russia itself. And it clearly is a strategy on the side of Kremlin to prolong this negotiation process from any tangible conversations and any tangible arrangements as much as possible. And also, as additional bonus in this basically prolongation, postponing, is to put blame on someone else, especially Kyiv. So going back to your question, there has to be some not only positive incentives, not only carrots, but also sticks at play for Russia to actually come to the negotiation table in seriousness, rather than just, exchanging some abstract asks, which everybody understands are unrealistic.
So do you think that there is enough of these, well, as you called them, sticks? Because, of course, we had the U.S. President Donald Trump some time ago, he said that it was going to be, a certain amount of days. Then he said it was going to be 2 weeks. And then recently, he also has said that he will know in the next 2 weeks if a deal is possible, as Russia, of course, is slow walking, on these talks. So do you think that more should be done?
Of course. Basically, what we see is President Trump exhausting all, so to say, carrot tactics with Russian President Putin. But there is a limited number of these tools on the table, and it looks like he has exhausted all of them, including the high-level meeting with Putin in Alaska. He was hoping that granting Putin this type of recognition internationally would maybe bring some tangible results out of it. But no, we have not seen any substantial changes in Russia's position. So basically, if U.S. administration is serious about pushing Kremlin to the negotiations table, there has to be at some point change of the toolkit. And we all know what are those instruments. They are on the table. These are sanctions, secondary sanctions, and I would say also personal sanctions, which could be the next step. Putin and his close inner circle.
Let's for a second come back to Ukraine's Independence Day, which is celebrated on Sunday. I wanted to ask, how important is this day for Ukraine, and does it hold even greater significance in light of this, Russian invasion that is happening in Ukraine?
Well, it is obviously an Independence Day, which for Ukrainians has a very tangible price. And every life shed for defense of its independence just increases this price on a daily basis. There is a famous saying by French political scientist Ernest Renan that nation is a daily plebiscite. And so for Ukrainians, it is indeed a daily choice of voting with daily sacrifices in favor of Ukraine's independence. This is how this day is seen and celebrated in Ukraine. And obviously, there is a lot of conversation about peace, because Ukrainians want peace as no one else. So the question is how to achieve peace rather than a pause in fighting. Mm-hmm. And that's basically the main question of the day.
Mm-hmm. And just to add on what you said previously, the incentives and also that the goal is peace, I wanted to ask, because it was on Saturday during National Flag Day that Volodymyr Zelensky also said that countries of the global south should push Putin towards making peace in Ukraine. What would you say to these leaders to have them also get on board this idea, of course?
Well, this is a question of global stability. No one in the global south, if we may put it this way, would benefit from World War III. And, this war ongoing with impunity, with potential to scale up, and creating this firm alliance of what they call axis of upheaval, China, Russia, North Korea, Iran, is not contributing to global stability, security, neither from viewpoint of security nor from economic viewpoint. And it does have global implications, obviously, not to mention the international law and basically the United Nations system, which the credibility of which is strongly challenged by all these developments in Europe.
Now, in a second, I'm going to come back to the UN, but I also wanted to ask, because the president on Sunday also said that, and I quote him, Ukraine will achieve, of course, this the stability and the peace because it will receive security guarantees so strong that the thought of attacking Ukraine would never cross anyone's mind. Now, what kind of security guarantees is Ukraine aiming for?
Well, it is clear that the most credible deterrence so far has been granted by NATO, because NATO is not on the table for Ukraine at the moment. The credible deterrence that could actually disincentivize Russia to attack Ukraine again should be some sort of security guarantees that mirror Article 5 of the North Atlantic Alliance. And therefore, it should involve United States in some format. This is basically what has been a major achievement of the conversations in the White House last Monday.
Mm-hmm. I also wanted to ask you about, because we've even heard that China is signaling its readiness to send peacekeeping troops to Ukraine, but only if their presence is mandated by the UN. However, there was a senior EU diplomat who was skeptical of the idea because he said that China might then use this opportunity to spy on Ukraine and then, of course, hopefully not side with Russia in the event of an armed conflict. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that it is hard to push any credible leverage on Russia through the United Nations decision-making process, because Russia has veto power in UN Security Council. Whatever mechanism has a credible possibility of pushback on Russians will be blocked. And so it could be only some sort of symbolic move that could potentially be green-lighted in the Security Council. Maybe with some pressure and diplomatic effort on China's side. I would not go as far as speculating on China spying on Ukraine. What I do see here is basically Russia either viewing Chinese presence as some sort of instrument for its own manipulations and achieving its subversive goals, or blocking this initiative under whichever pretext.
All right, and one more thing I wanted to ask, because on Monday, Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney will be in Warsaw, where he will meet with the Polish President and the Prime Minister. Do you think we can expect any new announcements with regards to Ukraine?
It's hard to say what would be achieved in the talks in Ukraine, but we know that Canada is a strong supporter of Ukraine, and so I don't expect anything short of consistent support and willingness to contribute to the security guarantees for Ukraine in the longer run.
All right. And on that note, we'll end it there. Dr. Kateryna Shynkaruk, Senior Lecturer at the Bush School, DC. Thank you very much for helping us, understand this further and joining us here on TVP World.
Thank you.
And with that, it's a wrap for this edition of World Talks. But for more interviews like this one and breaking news updates, make sure to stay tuned right here to TVP World.